So I've recently been concentrating on brain science, on neuroscience, as have others in the industry. And I think in the next 3 years we're going to see even more of a merger of creativity and science. And those two sometimes have an uncomfortable balance together. However, I'm very optimistic about merging science and creativity together, given the massive advances in understanding through neuroscience how consumers consume video. And it's not just about television, it's really about video on any platform. I read a lot of academic studies these days. It's amazing how prolific in the university environment, getting to very specific ways the brain processes information, what a great area that is, and how we in television, in video I should say, can exploit that to make our creative content even more effective.
I see better quality television that both is programmed and scheduled, but that viewers can access any way they can in the most convenient place possible. But the key is that television quality is going up as consumers have choice in what they watch anytime.
So the biggest challenges facing media research in the coming few years, I think, are twofold. One is, of course, the multi-platform world that is just expanding exponentially. How do we measure all of that usage? How do we synthesize all of it? And how do we extract real insights and understanding from all that data? And I guess the other piece of it is social media and how that interacts with media usage, television usage, internet usage, etc., because it's such a powerful force.
I think the challenges that the TV industry faces in the next 3 years are understanding how to create a revenue stream through the new platforms that are emerging in the industry, which includes not only online but mobile and any other ways that people like to access video content, so that it's something that is doable, but how can they make money at it through either subscription or advertising support.
Hi, the biggest challenge to television in the next 3 to 5 years probably will have to do with ratings for commercials and other kinds of currencies that will be available to the marketplace. So I suspect there's going to be a lot of different measurement types and services, and they're going to cover a lot of different ground. But I think finding the right audiences and being able to put the right impression in front of them and then to be able to measure it is the biggest challenge.
The biggest change that's going to happen in the next 3 years is that the programming becomes decoupled from the medium of distribution, so that you can get whatever programs you want on whatever platform is most convenient for the viewer, and you may have to pay for it if it's not going to be ad supported, or you may get it ad supported or some combination thereof. But what it does is it puts the content even more in control, makes the networks really separate from the way they get the content out there. So marketers are going to have to become much smarter about marketing the program brands and probably less about the brands of their individual networks.
I think the challenge to TV in the next few years is going to be the nexus of multi-platform and commercial ratings, and where people are watching and how they're watching, and how do you not only track and measure the awareness and the exposure to those commercials, but also how do you best integrate the behaviors on those platforms and manage how best to use those platforms to get your message across to your consumers.
One of the biggest challenges facing the television industry going forward will likely be relevancy, and how producers and, more importantly, advertisers can make their content more relevant, because as more and more devices, digital devices, come into the marketplace, how do you hold the consumer's attention and, more importantly, make a difference in their lives?
I think the big change actually for the TV business going forward is geolocation, how that works, actually how people can we can produce products and services that match into a geo area where people are, what they're doing to match into their geo lifestyles that they have right now. Obviously with more smartphones out there are more ways of knowing where you are, and there are more reasons why people are making business decisions and marketing decisions based on where they are. So I think that's a real opportunity and a challenge. The other thing I'd like to see more of is I see rights changing a bit more. I see things like component rights becoming more of an issue than composite rights. So being able to actually break apart video into pieces and sell it or use it in different ways. And I also see an opportunity for what we call random access channels. So the idea of taking on-demand content on a server and actually creating mock linear services that don't have the same bandwidth issues that you have with a traditional service.
So I think some of the biggest challenges in the TV industry in the next, or in 3 years' time, is going to be reconciling what to do with television at work. I think there's going to be a lot of challenges in employers and companies trying to prevent employees from watching television however they can access it. And I think there's going to be a big temptation increasingly among consumers to try and watch as much as they can while they're working.